Sorry.
That's fine, don't worry about it. We'll sit on a foot or something.
Do you want to sit here?
No, that's totally fine. Because if I sit there, then we'll do what we do every time, where I sit in front of you in case, like,
that's fine.
At the end, she's like, hello, I'm here to ask a question.
One last question.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
Pop out. So, first off, thanks so much for having us down.
No,
And thanks for purchasing all the leather that we were getting rid of.
I know, I'm so excited.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's
so
a lot.
it'll be good fun.
No, it'll be great.
Lots
of plans already. I'm like,
oh. Have you?
Yeah.
That's great. I look forward to seeing it. And anyone listening should also look forward to seeing it as well.
Yeah, all this leather.
So we're here with Laura Sherriffs. You bag maker, like how would you classify it? Because you're a bag maker, but it's more than just bags, isn't it? You do all the accessories, you do. I feel like that really dumbed down what you're doing. I'm like, I'm here with someone who makes bags.
It's always like, you know those things where it's like, what do you do? And I'm like, what do I do? That's the question. I don't know, I always like say just like designer maker kind of thing. I make bags and accessories, but then I kind of do kind of like small leather kind of bits and bobs as well, and kind of been doing a few kind of wee workshop type things. And I'm kind of hoping to do a bit more of that in future. So it's kind of a bit of wear all the hats.
Big thing.
Yeah, wear all the hats and some. Some nondescript ones that are just kicking about somewhere.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, today I'm an accountant.
Love it.
Isn't that the harsh reality?
That's the worst.
Anyone listening to this dreaming about being a maker, do remember you have to wear the accountancy hat at least once every 3 months.
So what did you do at uni then?
I did fashion design, actually.
Nice.
So I went to Gray's School of Art, which is the kind of art school in Aberdeen.
I've heard a lot about that school.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
No, it's good.
Need to visit one day.
Yeah, the degree show's on right now, actually.
Is it?
Was it?
Yeah, so it's on till Saturday, so if you've got a spare
Oh, we
hour
might
or
swing
so-
down on the way back tomorrow then.
Yeah,
That'd be a good idea.
totally.
Let's start with the first question. Who is Laura Sherriffs?
Oh, God. This is a therapy?
By the way, I've asked loads of people this question and I don't know if I could answer it yet. So if anyone wants to call me out and ask me it,
So, well, I would say I'm a kind of creative maker, designer, bag enthusiast, maybe? I don't really know.
Bag enthusiast.
But where did your inspiration come from? I know you're a very outdoorsy person.
Yeah, so as I said, I did the fashion design course at Gray's, and I graduated in 2013, which feels like a lifetime
Well, we're
ago now.
2015, weren't we?
Yeah.
Feels
I know, it feels
years
like
ago.
it was like 10 years this year. I'm like, where did that decade go? Oh my god.
I was doing, what was that? I was updating my film CV the other day because I've not done it in years. I was like, finally got a minute to do it. And I was like, oh, that was my first film in like 2015.
Wow.
Does that mean I graduated in 15? Does that mean, do you know what I mean? I'm like, God, I'm old. And obviously I've done that the day after my 30th birthday as well. And I'm like, God, I'm old.
Oh, it's like sniping the wind.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I totally forgot where I was there.
inspiration.
Yeah, so I kind of graduated the fashion design course, and you know, as you do, like after you do like kind of 4 years of art school, it's quite intense. Kind of didn't want to look at a sewing machine ever again after fourth year. It was just a bit mad, and it was like, I just need to kind of make some money, just kind of work away and kind of live life basically. So I kind of took a wee bit of a break and started just working. I was like working in a few different like hotels, just kind of in the city, just kind of, you know, living for the weekend. And then got really started rock climbing actually.
Right.
Got really, really, really obsessed with it. Kind of as you do. It's kind of one of those hobbies that you kind of do a little bit of and you're like, okay, this is going to go hard and buy everything. And was climbing like 3-4 times a week at the kind of local gym.
Nice.
And then kind of slowly, I think about a year had passed since graduating and kind of slowly kind of missed being creative again. Was kind of getting that itch to kind of make stuff, and I kind of like doing stuff with my hands and like doing like a desk job that I was doing at like a hotel. It wasn't for me. Like I get really bored. I kind of like could just feel myself like falling asleep at like spreadsheets, and I was like, oh, this is so bad. I was like, I need to do something different. So I just started I kind of just made a chalk bag. So I don't know if you're climbers or no climbing at all.
I know climbing. I know climbing from a onlooking perspective, but that would be as deep as it goes.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, a chalk bag, it's kind of basically like a little pouch that clips onto your like climbing harness, and you put chalk in it. And you put chalk on your hands to kind of stop your hands like slipping on the wall when you're getting like, obviously if you're doing
So do
a
you
big
carry
route.
that as you climb?
Yeah, you carry it.
Right.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, show the camera. That's so cute. I love that.
So you just kind of clip it to your harness, put chalk in it, and then as you're climbing, you can kind of chalk up, and then it stops your kind of hand slipping off the wall.
Yeah.
Gives you more grip. So yeah, it's kind of like a standard part of like climbing kit, I would say.
Okay.
So made one for myself just as like a fun little thing to do. I was living at home at the time, so I was using like my mum and dad's conservatory as like my little mini studio.
Love it.
Old sewing machine from my partner's gran. Just kind of made a chalk bag and then brought it to the gym. Do. Like, oh, I made this. Like, oh, look at me.
Look at me, the creative me.
I did things. And then put it on like Facebook and social media and stuff. And then a few like friends from the gym were like, oh, can you make me one? And I was like, sure, why not? Not doing much else. So kind of just did that. Made a few. I think the gym were really cool actually. I did they asked me to kind of sponsor their kind of, they had like a bouldering competition.
Cool.
So I like
that's
kind of
really cool.
sponsored that and had a little like, basically just turned up with a table with some chalk bags and some stuff and was like,
Nice.
here's me.
This is it. This is me.
Yeah, so that was kind of it. It's quite organic actually and kind of naturally just kind of fell into making again. So I kind of did that and then was like, maybe, there's something in this. Set up a little Etsy shop and kind of started doing like tote bags and made like hats and stuff as well. And then kind of went from there. It kind of just took off. I think I got kind of on Etsy at the really perfect time. It was like kind of lightning in a bottle kind of thing, where like people were really kind of supporting handmade, and it wasn't as like saturated as it is now.
So what year was that then? Was that
2014.
2014?
Right.
Yeah. So then kind of
Etsy seems to be hit or miss.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like for people like yourself and like Stephen from Wood and Gold that got on it early days,
Yeah.
before the mass manufacture stuff came on, it seems to just be amazing.
Yeah. It's not as, I don't think it's as great for me now as it was, but I don't really focus on it so much anymore. I kind of, like I've got my own like, kind of e-commerce site and I kind of focus on that and then kind of let Etsy just tick away in the background kind of thing.
Do you think that's why Etsy was so important early on? Because like, I don't ever remember websites being, like certainly like Squarespace, which we use now, that wasn't
It's accessible.
as accessible or
Yeah,
as easy
yeah,
to use.
'cause
There was like a
Etsy
few
was just
templates.
like you just set it up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can kind of go, and it
Yeah.
didn't really, you didn't need to have like do this as a full-time thing. It could be like you've got a few things that you made in your spare time and you want to sell them to someone who wants it kind of thing. It was really quick and easy and kind of, you had to say accessible and kind of easy to use, because I'm not very good at technical things. So it was just like building a website is a lot more, I don't know, kind of
Oh, there's a lot of bits
Yeah.
that you need
a lot
to
more
think about.
intense, and it's just more intimidating than
Yeah. And even now that it's getting easier and easier and
Yeah.
easier, it's still a task.
It is a
Yeah,
you need to
totally.
keep on top of it.
yeah,
Whereas
and
Etsy,
like all
all
the
you have to
SEO,
do.
whereas
Yeah.
Etsy's got its own kind of like SEO,
Right.
and they've got a lot of guides on how you kind of like, do better at it and do well with the Etsy algorithms and stuff. I don't know, but it was a lot more easy to kind of get your head around, I think,
Okay.
which was quite good.
So it started on Etsy.
Yeah.
When was that? Was that when you were first doing it, or did that come? Talk me through. Condense your past X years. Talk me through from sponsoring or turning up with that. I made this. Who wants one? To now, where we're
So-
sat in your studio. You've got someone working for you here, like small studio that's just got a massive output.
Yeah.
Go.
Wow. well, I went full time after about 3 months.
Wow.
Oh.
It was kind of a bit mad. Yeah, I don't know, because like I put some stuff on Etsy, not really thinking anything of it, and I think my first order was like to the United States, and I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It was like the coolest thing ever. It was like there's people, like someone in America with like one of my little
Americans
bags.
love it. Though.
Yeah,
Especially
so,
Scotland.
Like they're one of kind of my big kind of export markets, would be kind of like America, probably one of the biggest after the kind of UK. So it was really cool, and it was like quite kind of a little confidence boost as well, that people like at the other side of the world are interested in things
Oh,
you're
yeah.
making
Yeah,
from
big
your
time.
parents' conservatory.
That's
in
really
Aberdeen.
cool. Yeah, that's
So
really cool.
It was really cool. So I kind of was working in that hotel and kind of was meant to only be working like 3 days a week, but like when you kind of work for other people and they're like, oh, can you do this day? Can you do this day? And you end up working like, I think I was doing like 6 days a week kind of thing. And I was at a point where I was like, there is a little bit of something, I think, with the business. I was like, I think there might be something here, and it's something I kind of want to explore more, but I think I need to dedicate more time and the kind of resources into actually building it rather than just kind of
Hobbying
it. Yeah. when I was at the point where I was working, I wasn't really happy with what I was doing. And I was like, you know what, we're just going to quit and do this for a while and see where it goes.
Take the jump. That was
Yeah.
really brave.
It was a bit scary.
Yeah, how was that for you?
Terrifying. So I just moved into a flat with my partner as well. So he was just like, just do it.
Oh,
And we had a
love it.
spare room. So it was like, that was like my studio. So yeah, he was really supportive as well. And he was like, just go for it. So we did it.
That's
and
amazing.
then, yeah, just kind of still doing this now, which has been really cool. I think in the last couple of years, things have gone a bit, like the business has really kind of grown exponentially,
Nice.
which has been quite exciting, but maybe quite a lot to kind of get my head around, because I still sometimes feel like I'm like in my little spare room just sewing away. I'm like, okay, that's not what this is anymore.
This
That's
is
a whole
like,
different
Yeah,
head that
yeah,
you need to
yeah.
put on. Yeah.
So it's been a bit of an interesting journey, but yeah.
it's good to know that your growth has been. It's
Yeah,
going
it's
up.
been kind of steady. And then weirdly, during COVID was where there was kind of like a big spike. I think because people were kind of really wanting to support local businesses. People were kind of at home with a lot of, more kind of disposable income because they weren't going out like to restaurants and pubs and
Yeah.
stuff. People were wanting kind of more handcrafted pieces.
Yeah.
So it was really cool actually. But yeah, and then now it's been this year's kind of been a bit mad as well.
Yeah. I think the COVID thing comes up quite a lot on these podcasts, and I do think certainly we've always, of what we do, kind of synonymous with it, shopped handmade, but it definitely gave you an impetus on, and a lot of people I know where it was like, oh well, I couldn't afford to buy that. It's like, no, you could.
Yeah.
If you didn't get 2 coffees out
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day.
It's all about where you're wanting to
Yeah,
spend
but
your
we
money.
didn't have
kind
the
of thing.
option to
Yeah.
spend that money, so
Yeah.
all of a sudden we could buy nicer things. And I've
Uh-huh.
definitely seen, certainly people I know that are like, well, no, I do have that money now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do the 2 coffees a day, or I'm not going to go out for dinner 3 nights a week, or
Yeah.
or 2 nights a week, or even a night a week for some people, and that's going to allow me to have these nicer things.
Totally.
Like, I think it definitely, again, being one for always pulling the silver lining, like that is definitely one of the silver linings to it all.
Yeah.
I think so.
So it started with the chalk bag.
Yeah.
Was it pretty quick that you started doing other stuff as well, or?
Yeah, so I started doing like kind of tote bags, probably like a week or 2 after. I was just kind of like testing stuff out and kind of just having a bit of fun with like making, and the fabric that I use is all like waxed cotton, and I kind of, since the start, it's always been like waxed cotton with like kind of leather kind of straps and stuff, and that's kind of something, even though the work's kind of changed now, because I mean, looking back, it was terrible. Like, it was so bad. I'm like,
sure it wasn't.
I'm so embarrassed for like anyone who's got like an early piece on. So, oh no.
I'm sure it wasn't at all.
But yeah, I totally lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I totally loved the kind of waxed cotton and kind of leather, and it was kind of just kind of experimenting with what you could do with that, kind of how to kind of attach things and just kind of like have a bit of fun with it. So I kind of made kind of like little shopper totes. I think what else I was doing. Yeah, then kind of moved into like making hats, because I think my kind of like mindset with that was like kind of bouldering style, like climbing style.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
always got a hat outside.
I'm sure
yeah.
I've seen one of your hats.
I don't really make them anymore. I
No.
kind of stopped about 4 or 5 years ago, just
Okay,
because
that's
I
probably why I
just
haven't
didn't
seen
have
it.
the time to like it was just so many different things, and so much, and like
Got-
wool's
yeah.
also really expensive,
Yeah.
and materials are expensive, and it's
Yeah.
like I kind of just need to focus on one thing rather than trying to do
We can all end up
everything.
doing too much.
Yeah,
and then,
totally.
Yeah, you don't have
and
like
not
a
being like really good at one thing. I was like, I think I'd just rather, and like I did like fashion, like design, and I kind of feel like I'm more kind of proficient with like sewing and making and pattern designing and stuff rather than hat making. It was really fun, but I think there's so many other people doing stuff like that, but doing it so much better.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd rather just support that instead.
Do you think that's quite an important thing to recognise, well, for you and for other makers? Because everybody goes down this rabbit hole of, I
Yeah.
just want to make
all the
make
things.
everything.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I wouldn't not class myself as a maker anymore, but I still see stuff on YouTube and I'm like, I'm
wanna
going to go
do
make
that.
that. Yeah,
We did alright turning that bowl in America.
that's what I mean.
Oh,
Like
amazing.
we all want to just like
Yeah.
turn our hands to
Yeah.
stuff, because invariably, if you can make one thing, chances are you can make other
Yeah.
things, like to a professional standard, or at least most makers can jump in and do the base level ish.
Yeah.
Because they've made other
Semi-competently.
things.
Yeah.
Like when I was teaching Ben how to weld, Ben's very competent saddle maker,
Mm.
so he's got great hand-eye coordination, which made teaching him how to weld and fabricate very easy
lot
because he
easier,
understands those things. Similar, if I was to teach you how to do it,
Yeah.
you'd understand it. But that comes with this real danger of,
Oh yeah.
I'm just going to make everything.
And then you've got like 20 hobbies
Yeah.
or like kind of parts of your business and so much equipment, and you're like, what happened?
That is our house. That is literally
But I think
our
it's
house.
nice to try lots of different things and then realise that actually, no, I'm good at just this one thing.
You can't do everything as much as you maybe want to. Maybe you can, but maybe I think it's just good to kind of focus, or for me anyway, it felt better to kind of focus my attention on doing one thing really well and really kind of exploring that rather than trying to try a heap of
Totally
different things
agree.
and not really kind of getting anywhere with it.
Yeah. And how did you drive that? Was that based on this is, and I don't want to say convenient as if it's a cop-out, but was it like, this is the sensible, convenient thing to do if I do X, Y, and Z, these all kind of piggyback off each other? Whereas, like you say, doing hats, like that's wool, that's a
different.
totally different
knitting
thing you're bringing in.
machines, Yeah, I think it was just kind of in that, a bit of that and a bit of what I actually enjoyed as well. Like I really liked making hats, but I felt like I was never really taught knit at art school because that was kind of the textile course, and I always feel like I didn't really know as much about it, and I wasn't as confident in it, and I wasn't as confident in marketing it as well. Whereas like sewing and like pattern cutting and designing, I kind of like, I feel like I've got that kind of down. I'm kind of kind of get that, and I'm kind of confident with that, and I really enjoy it as well. Like I love turning something flat into something 3D.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing this. But I still get people being like, "You still make hats?" I'm like, sorry,
No.
No. There's a
I know
vintage
most
one
people who
that,
do.
yeah. There's a vintage one that somebody in America bought 3 years ago. Yeah, you can check them. So when it came to, so say we're, for argument's sake, 3 years in now, you've kind of expanded the range, brought the range, reined it back in. At what point did it get to the range that you've got now? Like how long have you been, and again, not sitting on this range, but how long have you been dialing this range in?
So probably since about 2018, 2019.
Right.
Yeah, so I kind of had, because I worked from home for a long time till about 2019, so I moved into like the studios that I'm in now. And then working from home, like I always lived in flats, and you're kind of, you know, I don't know if you've lived in a flat when you're doing leatherwork and
we
stuff.
live in a
Like
flat, yeah.
it can be quite noisy,
Yes.
and you don't want to be that person who's like hammering at like 11 o'clock at night. So there was a few things that I was like, I feel like I can't do that there. But when I got the studio, it was kind of a bit like, okay, free reign to kind of do whatever I want kind of thing.
Right, okay.
Encourage us to work even later.
Totally.
I hear that.
So yes, I kind of do kind of more kind of crossbody styles. I've still got some like kind of totes, climbing bags, backpacks, just a kind of bit of everything, a bit more space as well. Because
Oh, yeah,
I was
of course.
using like a kind of like picnic table to like cut patterns and cut fabric, and it wasn't really not picnic table. What do you call them? Those like
Like a
folding-
plasterer's table
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
totally, yeah, like market tables. And it
Yeah.
was like just not great on your back.
Yeah,
No.
you want it to be the right height for
yeah,
you.
yeah. Whereas this is custom made. Like my dad made it, and he made it to my height. So I was like,
Good old
great.
dad, see?
I remember that was when you were doing your furniture, that was the big one. It was like,
Yeah.
I need a table, and I was like, don't buy one.
No,
We'll make it.
Order the
Make
wood,
it,
and I'll be
yeah.
there at the weekend, and we'll sort it.
Totally.
Because it makes such a difference.
There's
So for
all
anyone
walls as
listening,
well.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
has got massive casters,
Yeah.
so it can kind of turn.
Turn.
It's just,
Yeah.
oh, it's ace.
for anyone listening, like how important is that you just set your workshop place up for
Totally.
you? It's the big thing. Like
Yeah.
you're spending hours and hours and hours,
Oh, yeah.
hours a day for days, weeks, months, years at a
Yeah.
time. It makes a huge difference.
Totally. I love having like a good space, and like I feel like even now, like I'm always like tinkering with the setup. Whereas things change, or if products change, I'm always kind of like moving stuff about, or maybe this will go here, or I don't need that anymore, and then kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's quite good. I feel like it's always like a work in progress, but
Yeah, always is.
it's just quite nice. I feel like a bit more settled with the space now, which is quite nice.
Are you
looks
comfortable with it always being a working process?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was like a few times where I was like, it just needs to look nicer, and I think it's getting rid of that mindset that it's a working environment and it's not a Pinterest showroom.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not an Instagram post.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
It is your
exactly.
workspace
Yeah.
and it has to work.
So like, I mean, most of the time it's chaos in here. There's like stuff everywhere. So
Did
I
you
mean,
find
it still
that?
is.
Did you find that quite difficult to come to realization with, and just realize that it has to be a working place?
Yeah, I think so. It
Yeah.
took a few iterations of like, you know, experimenting with how to lay stuff out, and then it's like you get it sorted, and then you'll buy another piece of equipment, and then you're like, well,
everything
where's that gonna go?
Yeah, yeah.
Need to move everything about again.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I think it's just quite good to kind of keep it, and it kind of, I think it like breaks up, I don't know, every so often. Like after a big project, like do a big clear out and rearrange. And I think kind of, reinvigorates the space a bit.
I like your shelves with all your products on it. I think that's really nice to like
Thank you.
Yeah, a little
show
showroom
off.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of want to do a bit more of kind of that kind of stuff because I've never really had anywhere. I always felt like I had like kind of like pattern cutting table, kind of sewing machines, and like workspace. I've got my leather working area, and like a kind of work in progress area. And I never really had a finished product area.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do with this now?
Yeah, especially when you need to then take pictures of the finished product and
Yeah,
show it off,
totally,
and
yeah.
that's all a big thing.
Yeah.
I thought what Holly done in her ceramic studio was fantastic. She just made like one fake wall
Yeah.
Whoa.
that she could just keep repainting whatever colour. She's
Oh,
right into
amazing.
wacky colours, it's wild.
Oh,
And it's got like a nice dado rail on it and
Yeah.
a picture rail, and it looks like it could be the corner of like a really bougie hotel.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like this, it's no bigger than what you've got
Uh-huh.
there. It's like one of these 8x4 sheets on the wall. And I was like,
That
that's
is
what
genius.
most people
Oh
are
my
missing.
God, yeah.
It's good, eh? It is really
That is
good.
It's
Genius.
always a centre in your, like, you know, I'm the same whenever I want to take a picture of the book. I've got nowhere to, you know, I have to go and find a space.
Yeah.
Whereas if you
Chasing
have a-
windows around your house
Oh
to
my
see where
God,
the
I do
lens
that all the
goes.
time. I'm just like, oh.
But when you've got a dedicated space, that's
You can
always
just-
where you just go, take a
Yeah.
picture and then you're
It
done.
makes things so. I might steal that idea. Oh.
Do you know the other, me and Ben were talking about the other night, the other place I seen was Handmade. He makes a lot of machinery in America, and his shop lights look like they are film lights, like with the big
wow.
diffusers on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because this is like that neon kind of strip lighting.
Yeah,
so kind
yeah.
of every time you open your phone, you see the flickering. And it's
Yes.
oh God,
That's exactly it. But imagine just being able to up
Yeah.
and go every time.
that is genius.
Yeah, I think shop setup fascinates me. Like,
Yeah, that is
fascinates
amazing.
me. So and there's loads of stuff we pick up being in.
Different
That's the
work.
selfish side of coming to
Yeah,
people
yeah.
to do
Oh, man.
podcasts.
I
We
love
get to
like
see them.
seeing in people's workshops. It feels like a peek behind the curtain. Kind of
That's
thing.
why we like the video, because,
Yeah.
you know, you're here anyway. Why not share?
You can see a lot of who people are and what they do.
Yeah.
Like, especially as makers, the way
psychoanalyzing everyone. By
judging. The way you do one thing is invariably the way you do everything as
Yeah,
a maker,
totally.
isn't it? Like, it's one big parcel. And to see people's spaces, and again, like Kate said, that's why we do it on video
Yeah.
in people's spaces, because I think one thing we are makers is really proud of is we share people's story. We
Yeah. Yeah.
share the people, not the product. Like, I don't mind if you make banana splits or bags. Like, I'm interested in who you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of our ethos. And so far it seems to work, I think.
Totally, I think
Maybe.
you're smashing it.
So going back to your products, why waxed canvas?
So I absolutely love it. Which is a bit of a cop out, but I remember.
That's fine, by the way. That is like, people need to be okay with the fact that saying I just love it
like
as a
it.
reason. Yeah.
No, I really, really love it. It just reminds me, when I was at uni, I did an internship down in London, and we used to go down to London quite a lot, back and forth. And I used to love going, because I was like a student, I was proper skint. I used to love going around Brick Lane and like all the different markets and just like looking at all like the vintage like Barber jackets and like the smell of them. Were just like, I've never owned one yet, but it was just like one day I'm gonna get one. But I just really love that. I just love how it's such a tactile like cloth, and it kind of takes on kind of like, you can kind of crease it, like it comes up kind of flat, and then you kind of crease it, and it creates all these lovely marks. So you kind of get a visual of like what you've been doing when you've got the bag and stuff as well. So it's kind of like a bit of like a kind of almost like a textile print almost, but it's like unique to
The wearer.
the wearer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think wax canvas tells a story, much
Yeah,
like leather.
Totally.
But to make a whole bag in leather is phenomenally expensive. And there's, you know, Filson, I used to have a tin cloth cruiser, Filson jacket, that was a wax canvas. And I remember I was sold on it immediately, because when they released it, the guy done a video and he says that we've built this jacket, it'll take you years to wear it in, which means it'll take you even longer to wear it out. And I was like, oh man,
Oh, I like that.
Stuff like that.
the thought of wearing something in is...
Yeah, it's just like, it's really exciting when you see like a new kind of crease or a new kind of mark, and then you can kind of re-wax it and re-wax it over and over again. It just it can last for like forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. I love things with like longevity kind of built into them, and I kind of hope my whole ethos is kind of around like making things to last, making things with like good materials and like kind of local materials as well. It's all just from Dundee.
Oh, really?
So it's just down the road.
Oh, wow, okay, I didn't know that about
Yeah,
that.
there's a big factory that's been making, they're called Halley Stevenson's. They've been making wax cotton since like 18.
Shout out to Harley Stevensons for keeping it
I'm going to
going.
get this wrong. It's like 1857 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, look up.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, if it's wrong, we'll bleep it out and
the
just put
1900s
subtitle
anyway.
over it. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so they're still on their kind of original sites. I think they were a jute mill originally, but then they kind of got into making kind of like waterproofing textiles like the early kind of 1900s.
Oh, nice.
And I think wax cotton, I think it kind of had its origins with like kind of Scottish sailcloth, and they kind of used to coat things with like linseed oil and stuff to kind of weatherproof them, and I think it kind of developed kind of from that. So they're kind of a lot of like, because we're like on the coast here in Aberdeen, there's a lot of like kind of fishing heritage. Like I just think it's just really, it's really outdoors, it's really rugged, and there's a kind of a really big link to kind of Aberdeen, to kind of Scotland. And
wax canvas jackets are quintessentially Scottish.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just makes you think of like kind of running through the Cairngorms.
Yeah, it does. It makes it even nicer.
And some super cinematic.
Yeah.
I know the ones. I've seen the videos. That's awesome. And was that first chalk bag you done wax canvas?
Yeah,
So you were always attracted to wax canvas as a material, and you've never deviated from that. Is that right?
Yeah, basically. I don't even know if I've like tried anything else. Maybe I should like mix it up a little bit and do something a bit mad, but
because you're
I
limited
just really
editions
love
or
it.
something.
Yeah, I've like kind of played about with kind of like some salvage denims before, but nothing like kind of more like kind of apron type things.
Yeah.
But nothing. It's always go back to wax cotton.
Have you ever done an apron?
Yeah, I've got one. I've got a maker apron that I made for myself, just with like offcuts and stuff. But I kind of want to do them as a kind of like
they'd be good
commission-y type things, because I think people use like an apron for something. Like it's quite personal for like how you use it kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've not thought about that. An apron could be quite a difficult thing, because what's important to you for an apron would be different to a chef for an apron.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a ceramicist. Or
ceramicist isn't going to want loads of pockets in it that just gets filled with gunk, you know? That's quite interesting. I never thought about an apron being a commission-based piece.
Yeah, I just think if it's something for your work, or especially a kind of creative sort of thing, it'll be different. Like everyone's work's different, so you know your uniform should technically be different as well, and kind of bespoke and personal. Yeah,
policemen don't wear firemen's uniforms, do they? There you go. I never thought about that. An apron should be 100% customisable. That makes sense. So, do you do commission-based work at the minute at all?
Not really. As they ask, I'm like, oh yeah, let's do some commission aprons. No,
but
I don't
if you
really.
Wanted to,
yeah,
at the
moment, I think things like aprons would be different, but a bag, I think I've kind of got the kind of core collection. I'm trying to kind of cover a lot of different bases and try and like, I've got a lot of different products, and then we add in commission work. It gets quite a lot in my brain, and I kind of find it a bit complicated.
Yeah.
And it costs there's quite a high cost if you're making a one-off of something, because you've got kind of research, development, material sourcing, prototyping, and that can take weeks to even get to that stage, and then you've got the final kind of product as well. And I think people sometimes forget that goes on even with commission work as well. So I kind of don't do commissions as such. I think do things like kind of custom color palettes and things that aren't going to add create a full different product kind of thing.
Right.
I do a lot of kind of stockist work, so I kind of feel like if I do heaps of commissions, I'm kind of spreading myself too thinly.
Talking about stockists, so I did see your work in the Sky Candles in Glasgow.
Oh, did you? Amazing.
I think it's always so cool when I just knew it was you, obviously, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, I know who that is.
Yeah.
I just think there's something really special to like knowing the story behind the product, but also the person. So
they're great. I've got work in 3 of their stores now.
Nice.
Cool.
Where is their stores then?
So they've got one in their kind of flagship stores in Broadford on Skye.
Cool.
And then they've kind of take over the visitor centre in Portree, and they've turned that into like this massive store kind of like.
Does it look like a varnish? I've seen
kind of, yeah. And they do kind of
that.
like events and stuff there as well.
Nice.
And they've got like a cafe and everything. And then they've got Buchanan Street, and I think they've got one in Inverness as well.
I mean, I love their candles. Like,
Yeah,
they're my favourite
so
candles.
nice. Yeah, they're really great. So it's quite great when you have like kind of small businesses supporting other small businesses as well, which is
I think
really
it's
cool.
so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And what sort of percentage is direct sales versus, is it only Sky Candles you've got stuff with?
No,
or have
I've
you
got
them
about
with?
maybe 20 stockists.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Around the kind of UK. It's quite
Nice.
exciting. Yeah, that's been kind of what's really kind of grown the business over the last kind of few years. I do a lot of like stockists and then kind of collaborative work as well, where people will provide fabric, and then I'll make my designs but in like their material.
All right, okay.
So I did a big collaboration with Iona Wool last year. Actually, I'm like, what year is this? So they're a kind of small batch wool, like tweed producer on Iona. So everything, the wool is all kind of single origins. It's all from the flock that live on the island. So there's something like 100 sheep that live there. It's like fascinating. I'm so fascinated by like materials and like provenance of material and stuff. And it was like such a great story that they kind of like all collect all the yarn and then sort it. And they sort it, and then some of it gets made into like knitting yarn, and then the other half gets kind of made into kind of tweed. And it's this beautiful, beautiful cloth. So they kind of commissioned me to make kind of some of my kind of core bags in my collection, and with the wax cotton, but kind of incorporating a bit of the tweed as well. So it's a bit of a kind of lots of different materials from around Scotland in one kind of piece, which was really, really cool.
That's good.
So it was really lovely.
And was there much change that you had to do to your manufacturing method to take that, or was it all
Not
pretty
really
swap
at all.
out?
Yeah, I was just kind of swapping out kind of panels and stuff, which was great. And then I've kind of done something similar for the Scottish Textile Showcase in Edinburgh, with kind of done a bespoke collection for them with kind of Harris tweed, and then for the Fife Arms out in Braemar. I don't know if you've ever been. It's like this kind of luxury hotel in Braemar. It's incredible. It's beautiful. But they've got their own kind of house tweed that's kind of made by Araminta Campbell. So she's kind of designed their house tweed, and it's kind of the tartan and tweeds all over the kind of walls. It's spectacular. And all the staff kind of wear it as well, and we kind of made backpacks and kind of crossbody bags with their kind of tweed as well, which is quite cool.
Right.
That is awesome.
So do a lot of kind of project stuff, which is quite fun.
So do they reach out to you, or do you still reach out to them?
Yeah, so kind of I did Scotland's Trade Fair last March.
Right.
I can't remember my years and days now. And kind of met a few people there and kind of made contacts with people, and then kind of things have kind of gone from there, and people just kind of come across, like stumbled across quite organically as well, which has been quite cool.
And I guess you find those sort of trade fairs important.
Yeah, I've only done one actually.
Only done one?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And it was amazing.
Sounds like it was successful.
It was really good.
So you would do more.
I would do another. I just think.
See, they're always quite chalk or cheese, aren't they? They're either really good, which it sounds like they have been for you, or
that's really business to business, so isn't it?
Yeah. So
I
actually met one of the people from Glenfiddich. So I've been doing a big project with them that I finished at the start of this year. And it was like the biggest project I've ever done. Kind of made the kind of bespoke collection for the distillery gift shop, which was like dream project. It was so great. It was so much fun.
Awesome.
But yeah.
So working with brands sounds like that's a large chunk of your business income.
Totally, yeah.
So you've got the stockists, the big collaborations, and the e-commerce selling through your own, and that's Etsy and your site now, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've got a kind of Shopify run e-commerce site, and then I've got my Etsy that kind of just ticks away in the background.
And do you like that method? Would you recommend that method to other people to kind of chase collaboration brands?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really love doing like collaborative work. I think it just depends if you kind of enjoy just kind of squirreling away on your own, or if you kind of enjoy kind of working with others. But I quite like that kind of collaborative aspect of kind of taking something else that someone's made and then turning it into something that I've designed as well. I just quite like that.
But then you've got the two like customer bases, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Their customer will see what you've made and vice versa. So
and if they want a matching bag, they'll come back to you. You know,
totally.
So it's important to. I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah. I'm way on that one. Like, there's always this discussion of collaboration where like, is it equal parties?
Yeah.
But in the way you're doing it, it sounds like that is. They're kind of just providing a different material and you're doing your thing. You know, it's not limiting you.
Colours or whatever. And I still kind of feel like I've got a lot of kind of creative kind of control over that, which is quite nice.
Yeah. And for anyone else listening that has been maybe approached by companies similar or is looking to do that, like, how have you navigated those spaces? Because I could imagine that can be quite difficult with big brands.
Quite daunting, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it is quite daunting. I don't really know. I feel like I'm just kind of a bit like pinching myself a little bit. I'm still getting like kind of an email from like Glenfiddich and being like, wow. It's
a big confidence boost as well for
it's been
a small business that somebody wants to work with you. Like,
it's been like, I think that's kind of, I always kind of struggle a lot with imposter syndrome, and I think that's kind of done a lot over the last year to kind of help with that and kind of being like, okay, these people are wanting to work with you. so you can't be that bad.
No, not at all.
That's a good way to look at it,
Yeah.
though. Like, it's external validation, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's not
kind
just
of.
Tom, Dick and Harry buying your stuff. No
Uh-huh.
discredit to Tom, Dick or Harry that are buying your stuff. But
You're
it's
like
like,
them too.
yeah, it's like big brands are like, oh no, I want to
Yeah.
be seen to be with this person.
Totally.
That's good.
Which is
So,
quite nice.
has there been not issues, but has there been areas where you've had to work really hard to make that happen that you can maybe lay some advice on for other makers, or has it all been pretty?
It's been quite...
Straightforward.
Yeah, it's been... I think it's been a lot more straightforward than I thought it would be, because I was kind of a bit like, oh, how's this gonna work? But it's kind of just, they kind of decided, like with the Glenfiddich project, they came in and kind of met me at the studio and had a look through all the different products and kind of decided what kind of colours they wanted, and then just literally placed the order they wanted, and then kind of left me to it,
Really?
Nice.
which was great. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool.
That's really good.
And I got their kind of stamp made, so I could kind of stamp it into the kind of leather for like a little patch.
Yeah.
It was quite cool. So it's kind of
Personalised.
yeah, so it's kind of branded to them, but it's kind of my work as well, which is quite
Yeah.
So did you see that was last year or this year?
This year,
This
yeah.
year.
So it was
So is there-
February.
So are they still in the store or?
Yeah, they should be, yeah.
Nice. So anyone wants to go and see?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wicked.
Yeah.
And that's really good to feel that you've had positive experiences.
Yeah.
Because I'm very well aware that there is makers that.
I think I've been really lucky, because you do
Yeah.
hear a lot of horror stories about people being kind of taken advantage of. But I think just kind of having that confidence in your own work to know what's right for you, and if something doesn't feel right in your gut, usually it's not right.
Do you think that's what it all comes down to, having confidence in yourself and
I
what
think
you're
so,
about?
yeah, because a lot of times it's so easy to get swept away with kind of like, oh, this is amazing, this is going to be good, and then you kind of get to the nitty gritty of it, and it's like, that's actually so much work to what you're getting paid or
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever.
Not so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. So how long were you going for before these brands started approaching you to do bigger projects like that?
So yeah, that was 2022 that I did the trade fair. And I think things were growing from about kind of 2020. 2021 was when I started the kind of Iona Wool project. So probably from about 2020 onwards, kind of just after kind of COVID, we start kind of getting over it.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Yeah.
Kind of things got back to kind of a bit more normality. Kind of that's when things kind of really kind of took off,
Yeah.
because I kind of had to. Well, we couldn't come to the studios for like a while, so during lockdown and stuff. So kind of tried to keep busy other ways, and kind of came back to it, and it was like really positive.
That's
really
good. That's brilliant. So you bounced back with a vengeance
Yeah.
after COVID.
No, it was great. So I did. There was a few of us kind of here at the studios. We all kind of made scrubs and made masks and stuff while the pandemic was going on, and kind of like I remember like one of the other makers. We were like doing fabric drops, and we were like kind of dropping off fabric to each other, but like 2 meters away. We're like, okay, you've got to make these ones, and you've got to make these ones, and it was a bit bonkers. But we're just like in our houses because we couldn't come to the studios. It was quite interesting.
You couldn't come in to eat, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
these
I
were all
think during the
closed.
first lockdown, everything was kind of just closed because we didn't really know what was
Right, everyone was on house
going
arrest.
on. Yeah.
It was weird, wasn't it?
It's so wild.
It's strange that was a thing not that
Yeah.
long ago as well.
So
It's wild.
what's the community like here in the studios?
Oh, it's lovely.
Is it good?
So
How many
great.
makers are there
I
then?
think there's about 40 plus.
Wow, that's
I
quite
don't
a
wanna
lot.
say- I don't want to put a right number on it because
Yeah.
people there's a few new people moving in as well. So it's a kind of growing community.
Yeah,
So
good.
we opened in, I think the first studios were upstairs in 2019. There was only 14 of us on the first top floor,
Right?
and now there's about 40 something.
Wow.
Which is amazing. We've kind of taken over this whole building, and then there's kind of another 2 other buildings that have got kind of makers. Kind of anytime a kind of office space opens up, it's usually
A maker
taken by a
moves in.
maker. Yeah.
That's good.
So it's really cool, and it's a totally like load of different kind of disciplines as well, which I think is really interesting and really kind of exciting because you get to kind of speak to different people with like different life experience, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
So we've got like ceramicists and jewelers, kind of other textile makers, so kind of people who kind of get it, and it's quite interesting when you kind of hear a lot of people when they're having a bad day, how much it's kind of similar to your own kind of bad day. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like exactly the same.
Yeah, you're not on your own with that one.
It's really great.
Yeah.
That must be really good for the sustainability of doing this.
Totally.
Like, not being, like, knowing that there's someone else.
Yeah.
This sounds rotten. Knowing that there's someone else having just as bad a day as you in the same building. That sounds rotten, but.
And we all have really good days too.
Yeah,
and we all kind of
exactly.
celebrate that too, which is
Yeah.
really, really great. No, it's
Because I
just,
think
I
that's
just,
something that people do suffer from.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
if you're
when you
having a
work
bad day.
by yourself and if you're working from home as well, it can be quite isolating and quite kind of difficult. And kind of if you're having a crappy day or whatever, you can kind of get in your head about it, and you know,
There's no one to talk
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
you
Whereas
know?
here you can like, you know, go out for a coffee.
Exactly. Go down to
Yeah.
how long did you say? It was like 20-minute walk from here to the... I know
Union
you said it in
Square.
your story.
Oh, it's like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, it's just across the river. You can go get a coffee. Go
See, that's
for a walk.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little bit too far out to do that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But I think these spaces are super important.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
these joint, and the more people I speak to, it seems like that's the general
Yeah.
consensus. Like
Yeah.
a good shared space.
Yeah.
Shared problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite. What is it? A problem shared is a problem half?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
it.
Problem
Yeah.
solved. I don't know.
Problem
Something
solved.
like that. Well, it depends on who you're sharing it with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Then you kind of go back to work and you feel so much better for it. You kind of
Yeah.
vented and it's like, oh, actually, it's not the end of the world.
It's not as bad as I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And having a space like this, is this what, or more, the question's probably better phrased, at what point were you able to expand and get people in to help you, and how does that all look now?
So that was last year actually. So I've got two girls from, they're just graduated degrees, the course that I did, which is
brilliant.
quite cool. It's a kind of full circle moment. They've just done fashion and textiles. Last year took them both on. So they work like kind of a couple of days a week.
That's good.
Really great. It's really exciting. And I just think I think I'm quite passionate about being able to give people opportunities, because I think Aberdeen, the creative scene, is kind of doing a lot more now, but I think when I graduated it was a lot smaller and a bit more kind of niche, and I think it's kind of a lot more focus is kind of put on it now, and it's kind of growing and there's a kind of bit of momentum. But I think it's really great to kind of keep people in the city and kind of keep people creating and kind of just, you know, give people opportunities to do what they want to do without having to like move to London or like.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
I feel
totally.
you graduated in the same sort of sphere as when we graduated, where the narrative was you move to London
Yeah,
and you'll get
totally.
something. You know, we've spoke to a lot of fashion people who've done similar, and people from all walks of life that have done similar or been told to do similar,
well,
and even people in Europe that have studied and been told, right, London's
to
the next
London,
place. Yeah.
You went to London, right? No.
I just did like a month internship there,
Yeah.
and
Everyone
actually was
goes
like,
to
I don't
London,
want
though.
to live here because it's
Yeah.
too busy and it's just a bit mad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've all done it.
Yeah.
but we all seem to come home.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
think
great
I like
that
to be able to be quite close to like, you know, the Cairngorms and quite
Yeah.
like kind
One of my favourite places. I
Yeah.
love Aviemore.
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
But that's really cool that you're then in a position through your own will and determination to then be able to provide people not only just a bit of work and a bit of experience, but the option to not have to go down to London.
Yeah, I think that's quite important. I think especially with like, you know, the world's so connected through like social media and stuff now. You don't need to go to a specific place. You can do anything, kind of anywhere, and kind of
Yeah.
people can buy it from literally
Your
anywhere.
first
as well.
sale,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
first sale on Etsy was
Yeah.
the USA, you know?
Just, you know, it's
Bonkers, really,
pretty
when you
wild,
think
yeah.
about
Like,
it.
why would you need to go down to London? I mean, there's probably amazing opportunities down there, but I'm like, maybe they're not for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's that trade-off, and anyone that knows me in my personal life will know that I bash on London hard, right? and I'm not.
It's like, I
I'm
love
not scared.
visiting, but
Yeah, I love
it's-
visiting, but it's just like, and I get it. There is opportunities down there, and if there is opportunities, I encourage anyone to go and pursue them down there. But I'm like, just don't forget that you can build I think that's the big
Yeah,
thing. That's why
yeah.
I bash it, is because I bash it out of resentment.
Yeah.
The narrative is there that you need to go down there to find opportunities, and I don't
Yeah.
feel there's enough people being like,
Create
I'm
your
going to
own.
make the opportunity.
Yeah,
like exactly
totally.
what you've done here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and like you say, like the internet's the opportunity. London's not the
Yeah.
opportunity.
totally.
The internet is. Yeah. Someone's going to be like,
Oh.
you bashed on London again. Like, yes. Yes, I am.
Yes, I did.
And I've worked in London for years. Like, I get it. That's where 95% of my business comes from.
Yeah.
And it's wicked for that. But certainly in the maker space, I just want people to know that that's not a limiting factor. You
Totally.
can make your own
just kind
opportunities.
of anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about your collaboration, e-commerce,
Talked about a lot, actually.
wholesale.
Yeah, I know.
It's good.
Oh, you're good. You just fire through them. And, what about like courses and stuff like that? I see a lot of makers are moving to courses.
Because you're doing your
and-
workshops.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So I've been
Workshops.
doing kind of some zero waste kind of workshops with another maker from the studios, which is another great thing about having the space is kind of, you kind of like touch, like find kind of crossovers with discipline. Like she's actually a jeweler, but we're both really interested in kind of using up kind of waste materials and kind of develop that into practice. So we've been doing a few kind of zero waste kind of wall art workshops where we kind of use a bit of her kind of jewelry offcuts and then some like kind of old leather and fabric offcuts and kind of showing people how you can kind of create something quite like artistic, but from like scraps and kind of bits from the beach and stuff as well. It's quite fun. So I kind of really want to do kind of a bit more of that this year, and kind of I'm doing some skill development in kind of leather working, and I really want to be able to kind of do some like kind of small leather workshops as well, maybe even some like kind of sewing classes, although that's a bit more complicated with kind of like industrial machines and stuff like that, whereas like kind of leather working you can show
simple
kind of hand skills. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I think it's quite exciting actually, kind of being able to pass on knowledge and skills.
Absolutely, because we need to do it.
And I know that I love going to a workshop, and I'm like, well, I would love to learn like you know, kind of jewelry and kind of
because that might inspire somebody else. But actually, I want to do something. Like this.
And I think everyone's got that kind of bit of creativity. Even people say they're not creative. I think you just haven't found what you really kind of enjoy, or I think anyone can kind of be creative and have fun. Things like that.
I think that's also a huge point in your making career, at the point in which you can then pass those skills on.
Yeah.
It's like a sort of passing of the torch almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like not a passing of the torch in the way that you're giving it away, but it's like you're passing part of the flame, as it were. Like, it's almost like you are now a thing in the maker space. You now have your own hole to fit in.
But it's fulfilling, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I would feel like. Even the skills that I've learned, even just like producing a book that we've never done before.
Yeah.
Like I've learned so many skills from that if someone comes to us and says, oh, by the way, how do you do it? I said, I don't mind passing that on because I've, why not?
Yeah.
I wish I had it.
Yeah, it makes someone else's life much easier and kind of gives them a bit of wee spark of inspiration.
A head start.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I suppose it comes back to that question, it's the competition over community, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you view that?
I think I don't want to be that person giving every single. I think there's things that like I spend a lot of time kind of. Yeah. You do kind of like, research and develop and find what's right for you, and it is easy for people to just be like, oh, I'm gonna do that too, but that it's not authentic.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, sharing skills and stuff is really like super important, and kind of creating. I think everyone's got a little. Everyone's got your own little space, and nothing you do. In that respect, you're all gonna be creating something different, or have a different process or a different mindset to like a different problem. Yeah, which is quite exciting, and it's quite great having kind of the space here to we can throw ideas about with people, which is quite fun. And be like, and it's quite nice when you have people who know how to do what you're doing, and if something goes wrong, you're like, oh, that zip didn't work or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah,
I know
been there, done that.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Which again goes back to shared communal-based spaces, doesn't it?
Totally, yeah.
That's wicked.
Because you can stay at a problem for so long, then someone comes on and just, you just do that. And
you're like, oh,
thanks.
Why have I been doing this completely wrong for like 10 years?
It's super simple, isn't it?
Yeah, you can all learn from each other, which is, really cool.
And do you think, even out with this space, do you think Aberdeen, maybe even Scotland in general, do you think there is a good makers community here for...
I think so. I think Aberdeen, because we're not even that far north, but we seem a bit more kind of like removed from like the kind of main kind of maker scene, like
you're out the central belt rat race.
Basically. Yeah. Not that we've got like a stick about it.
We have exposed it. We've found out the root of the issue.
We all hate everyone outside of Aberdeen. Not true.
Yeah, don't clip that.
But yeah, I think I totally forgot what we were talking about there.
The sort of makerspace in Aberdeen and greater in Scotland, is this a good place to be for makers?
Everyone here is really supportive, and I don't know if it's the same in other cities, but I would have maybe imagined like kind of in a bigger city people might be like really, really competitive with each other, but everyone here, it's like you go to a market or an event and you spend like half the time just chatting to people and catching up and just being like, how are you, how's it going, like what are you up to, and everyone's just like really, really supportive. And then you see other makers like I know I'm like kind of friends with some makers who are down like Edinburgh, like the Borders, kind of Glasgow, and you see them at events, and it's just quite nice to like check in every year and kind of like, how have you been since last year?
Yeah.
How's your year been?
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Good network.
It's really good.
Yeah, the networking thing's important. Like,
and I think there's a lot of kind of cool opportunities for stuff like events and stuff as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, and the networking thing that's important isn't just networking with like B2B or B2C. It's maker to maker as well. Just like health checks, effectively.
Yeah,
like,
just like
health checks.
How's it going?
Checking in with everyone.
How's your head?
Yeah, like, I mean, I speak to Wilco every so often, and Stephen, and
Past makers that we've
featured or got on with, and just drop my message.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
It's like, just really, it sometimes makes your day when someone like you've not spoken to in ages just like pops a message and just like checks in. You're like, oh.
Or when someone sees something you've done and you're like, or something that you see something they've done and you're like, that's wicked.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's where
a little message goes a long way.
Oh,
totally, 100%.
You'd read something the other day and said it. What was it? I'm going to butcher it. Like anyone that listens to this podcast will know that I butcher most things I hear. So social media is meant to be social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We forget that it's meant to be social.
We're all so busy like pushing our stuff out
on
it,
and like thinking of the algorithms or like trying to make reels that
or trying to market. It's all about marketing, but business. But we actually forget to be social. That's the whole point.
I think I've kind of been less on Instagram over the last kind of wee while. But then when I go back, it's more kind of, as if being a bit more social and kind of a bit more engaged with people you want to be, rather than just like, I'm trying to sell this, because I actually hate trying to sell stuff like on Instagram. It's just feels so forced, and
it does feel
everybody
forced.
knows when you're trying to sell something.
It's just like, it's the worst. I actually hate it. So it's like, if you kind of just do something a bit more fun and like check in with people, I think that's much more healthy way to look at it than kind of selling constantly or like comparing yourself constantly. Or
we can do that a lot. Compare, don't we? Yeah.
So if you hate going on Instagram to sell your products, because let's be honest, that's what Instagram's kind of become, whether you like it or not. How do you get your products out there? How do you sell them? Is Instagram still your main platform?
Yeah, I think Instagram probably is actually, and I think I quite like it because it is more of a visual platform rather than like Facebook's just like text and it's a bit chaotic right now. But I feel like because it is like visual, it's quite nice to see like images. And, like I love it when people take a photo of something, like if they've bought one of my bags and take a photo of it and they share it. I'm like, I love that. It's like such a lovely little like way to like make your day better. And you see someone just being like, oh, I really like this, I'm wearing it out. And I'm like, oh.
That's so important, isn't it? To see people using it. And it's also so important from a marketing point of view of other people seeing it.
User-generated content seems to be the thing right now.
Oh, really?
Aye, that's the big one. Like if people are like using the book or using your bag and sending you, and again, anyone listening to this that's got one of your bags or got one of your books, like a quick video of you using it, just to be able to show other people that other people have it in their hand, like seems to just
totally good.
And I get it, like, because if I buy something that I've seen through Instagram, it's usually because I've seen someone using it, not because I've seen a still image of it. But you don't want to be like chasing people daily, like, you take a picture of this book.
like us.
Yeah, like us. Subtle hint.
Yeah. Even like as a buyer, like because I've got a lot of like maker friends, that ends up being quite an expensive thing. You end up buying a lot of people's work because you love it. And it's like, I love like when you get it and you're just like, I want to take a picture of it and just kind of set up a little photo. And it's like, I think that's quite exciting rather than just like, I don't know, here's another 10 reasons you should buy this bag or whatever. And just quite.
You don't want to give them 10 reasons. You just want to show them that this person loves it. You'll love it too.
And I'm like, I really like it. I made it.
You also raised a good point there. That's a hidden cost that nobody talks about being a maker. Is that all your pals are also makers as well, and you end up spending a stack of money.
But you have a lot of nice things.
You do have a lot of nice things. There's a good reward for it.
I do like a conversation starter piece. You know, like your bag is. Like somebody will look at that and be like, oh,
where'd you get that?
Where'd you get that? Even though it's your badge is there, but like they'll want to know more about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's
a worth in that.
Handcrafted as there is.
I love doing that. I like when someone like I've like a obsession with buying like ceramics. It's like quite nice. Like you meet all the makers, and you're like, oh, they're inspired by this, or this is that, and this is that, and it's quite nice.
Yeah, I totally hear that. It's the mug or the coffee scoop or it's come from somewhere rather than
you've
just...
not just bought it off Amazon and it's just like cheap as chips.
Go in the bin a year later.
Yeah. Like, there's a worth to it, and then because you're telling the story, I don't know, I think that kind of reaches more people and it sort of gives it more value. I don't know.
I think so.
So to go way back in the conversation, you know, the setting up of this as a thing. How did that all come about? Because you've got quite a lot of industrial machines, like industrial sewing machines. Yeah. Obviously, the stock's bought by the meter, I would imagine. You know, it feels like there'd be quite a lot of investment. How, maybe for other makers listening to this, thinking, how do you get started?
Literally had about like a couple of £100 in my bank account when I was like, I'm going to do this full time. I was very much winging it, and very much was just doing what I could with what I had at the time. And then when I could, like anytime I'd kind of, you know, get sales, I'd keep a little bit aside and kind of keep a pot kind of growing. And then would invest when I could kind of thing. So it's always kind of, even now, it's like I'm kind of always looking to kind of make things better, streamline things, or kind of how can I improve that, or what equipment would make things easier or make things better,
more efficient,
and last longer kind of thing. Yeah. And I think when you make stuff in-house, it's quite easy to do that because you kind of see everything all the time and you see what processes you're doing. Yeah. And you can be like, oh, I can refine that a bit, or I can maybe tweak this and that'll be a bit more kind of durable or whatever. And I think that's quite special about kind of doing what I do, like in-house kind of thing, rather than just kind of like,
I've made this design.
Everything. Yeah. And then I kind of keep all the offcuts as well, and I can use all that. So I'm kind of like really determined to make everything kind of zero waste. And I've literally got like 9 years of textile scrap, and it all fits nice and neatly in that little like bins bit.
Very organised.
So it's very organised.
I love organised. It's either chaos in here or like completely opposite. To the
there's
point
no
of,
in between.
Yeah.
Does it just get more and more and more chaotic then? Massive.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I need to retidy everything.
That is my office to a T. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, your office is really clean. I'm like, yeah, because I cleaned it.
Yeah, because
but it's
I
not
knew you were coming.
Yeah, exactly. If you just dropped in yesterday, it'd be very different. So obviously building things up over time, it does take time inherently. Like, having done that, would you do it any differently now?
I would probably have maybe looked into how to. I feel like I just kind of was like, I'm just going to quit my job and make my own business. I'd have maybe looked into how to
create a business.
How do you do that?
Business stuff.
Totally. Done a bit more kind of business training and figured out how to do that. Because I literally, even now I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants a little bit, just kind of like, that'll work out in a way.
At some point.
At some point. So I think maybe would have got the equipment I needed at the start, rather than I was kind of using it was a semi-industrial machine to be fair, but it was like an old sewing machine that, you know, doesn't work as great for the first kind of year or so, and then kind of got kind of industrial machines and then kind of expanded to kind of more machinery and stuff. I love an excuse to buy tools. I'm like obsessed.
Who doesn't?
Do you think you would have had that outlook had you not had the experience and success of what it is now, though? Do you think you would have been like, I'm just going to take the loan, I'm going to get the business help, I'm going to make this... Because it feels like it happened really organically. And there's
something nice in that, though.
Yeah, there's something really nice in that. And there's always the, like... I definitely think Americans were better at this. Just being like, this is the dream and I'm just going to make it work. And I'm going to bet on myself. And all the Americans we talked to, I was like, man, you're brave.
Yeah,
like
us
little
really
Scots
cool.
over here are like, I'll just save a little bit every week and then we'll build it over time. And honestly, I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know.
I'm not sure, actually. I didn't really want to. I was quite conscious that I didn't want to take out as like a loan or anything. I was like, I'm just going to kind of do it when I can afford to, and then it feels right. And I don't know if that's the right business way or not. I don't really know. So
that's exactly how I operate, but I don't know if that's right. So this podcast is no means business
by people
advice.
Who don't know business.
This is business for people that don't know business.
I know, maybe the right thing is get a loan and get lots of equipment and learn and stuff, but I don't know.
I just always feel like that comes with added pressure.
Yeah,
added pressure sometimes means you don't enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're actually having to make a lot of money to be able to pay that off.
Pay it back,
And then if you
there's a base minimum you need to make to pay that off.
Whereas it's kind of like I'll invest when I can.
Yes.
Rather than I have to right now kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I kind of prefer anyway.
Yeah. I can't wait till the day I'm on a podcast and someone gives me the right answer.
Yeah. This is
I don't know what the right answer is, but someone's going to be like, no, this is the right answer. To be fair, the person who says this is the right answer is probably not going to be the right answer.
Oh no.
But yeah, I don't know where I sit with that. Like, my view is exactly what you've done. Like, put a little bit aside, and then just grow it a little bit and grow it a little bit.
I think what most people, I
think it's a safer approach.
I think, because you don't know. I think because when I started the business, there's been so much going on in the world. You don't know what's going to happen.
Changes
all the time. You
time.
don't know what the next obstacle's going to be. And like, I don't want to, do all these things. Then we'd be like, oh, I actually hate making bags. I'm not going to do it. And then you've got all this like business debt.
You've got a car full of leather.
Yeah.
For anyone that didn't get the inside joke, we've just sold a car full of our old leather from Amidst Ardent Leather Works.
Yeah. To Laura, so you'll make use of it though.
Yeah, totally. I'm well buzzing.
But no, I think that's it, isn't it? And for anyone listening to this, it's certainly the way we've done things. It seems to be the way you've done things. It's like, there isn't a right answer. You don't know.
Totally.
The world changes daily at the minute.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
Really.
Literally.
Yeah. So what does you've obviously been at this a good few years. What does the future look like? Have you got anything that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I'm kind of at the moment, like I've kind of just finished up all those kind of big projects and things are still kind of ticking away. And I think at the moment I'm kind of just taking a minute to kind of reevaluate the kind of products I make. I'm kind of looking into kind of new pieces and kind of doing a bit of like research and development kind of stuff over the next little while and kind of hopefully work on some new like work, new collections. Maybe some kind of like, I really want to do some kind of more one-off kind of things and kind of do a lot of kind of projects with kind of utilising like all the scrap and kind of how I can incorporate that into making products as well and kind of just kind of have a bit more experimentation, I think, and a bit more creativeness.
Because sometimes with that can like, you're such in a process that you forget to experiment.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And when you've got like big kind of project you're working on, it's just like get this done, and then get this done, and I guess this is done. And it's kind of like,
when was the
it's
last
still
time?
fun, but I'm like, I want to just kind of, have a bit of fun and kind of create new work and kind of really experiment and kind of like refine kind of processes for existing work and kind of update that a wee bit as well and kind of just kind of, have a bit of fun, I think.
Yeah. Has there ever been a point in your previous few years, many years doing this, that you've lost that fun in it? And if so, how did you get out of it?
I actually nearly gave up about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 3 years in.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually...
You got to the juicy stuff there, eh?
Yeah, I buried that in the turn. Yeah, so, I don't know, it was maybe about, I can't remember what year, maybe 2016 or something, 2017? Long time ago. But yeah, it was quite slow. Everything was like really quite slow on like kind of sales wise. And I don't think I was in like a good place for like making and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, maybe it just felt like a lot for not much return.
Oh
man,
like, know that feeling.
Yeah. So I was like, I kind of like, did the thing where you're like, oh, I'm going to close up the shop and like did little posts on like Instagram and stuff. And then kind of, I don't know, it was weird. Like lots of people were like really lovely and like, were like, oh, like, if you got like last minute bits to kind of purchase. And I kind of was like, I don't really know what I want to do. And kind of had 3 months of kind of not doing anything, just kind of like figuring stuff out. So
you went full close for 3 months?
Yeah. And then
okay.
Then kind of came back. I kind of was just like, oh, I kind of actually miss it. Came back, but just doing little things. I think I kind of brought it right back to, I don't really know what happened. Maybe I just kind of gotten into doing too much and trying to please other people and trying to make what I thought would
please
sell
them.
Rather than what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And kind of got into
it's
a bit of
not an uncommon story.
Yeah, and kind of just got in a, just think I lost it a little bit and kind of just took that step back and was like, actually I do want to do this, but we're going to have to do it the way I want to kind of thing, rather than what I think's going to sell. Or, you end up second guessing yourself, or people are like, oh yeah, I'll buy one of them. And you're like, okay, it's live now. And then it's like, hits.
Yeah. It's very much like Holly's story when she was like doing her ceramics. She was trying to make
exactly
something.
What I was thinking.
She was trying to make products that she thought people would like, but actually wasn't being true to herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of lose a bit of the authenticness of what you're doing and lose a bit of you and a bit of like creativity as well. And I think just having that,
when you stop having fun.
Yeah.
you know, that's like, need to think about how I'm going to make this fun again.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But that's really interesting as well, like, when you, at the risk of sounding like a gambling advert, when the fun stops, stop. But like, just take a minute away from it and re-look at it. So, what did the re-look at look like? You know, because maybe people listening to this think they're exactly the same, that are like, I'm going to jack this in.
Yeah.
So, what did the reorganisation, restructure, re-look at look like, and how did that then affect you personally is what I'm really interested in, but certainly the business as well.
I think what I was doing, I wasn't like, I didn't have like a clear focus on what I was doing, and I was just like buying lots of different materials and different colours and just kind of putting it together, and not really, there wasn't like a cohesive kind of like,
what is this?
Yeah, it was just like bags, and it didn't really. And I always find I work better, and I enjoy working better if I've got like a focus or like a kind of like narrative almost within things. I think that makes me kind of
motivates you, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
You need that motivation to what am I working towards?
Yeah, and what's the goal here? Like, what is this for? Rather than just making for the sake of it. So yeah, I kind of like took a step back, and then kind of really was kind of like, I really enjoy being outdoors, and I kind of started this because I kind of loved being outdoors. Like, maybe like, should just kind of refine the colour palettes to, you know, what I'm inspired by kind of thing, rather than just
picking materials.
Oh, someone might like that, someone might like that, or But yeah, I don't know, I can't really remember. I feel like so long ago, but I kind of just started making chalk bags again, and then kind of started making other products, but kind of how I wanted to do them, if that makes sense.
How you would buy them.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? You have an identity now.
Yeah.
As in, like, your products, you'd see it on the shelf and be like, I know who that is.
Yeah. I feel like that this is me now. Like, whereas before it was just kind of like, that could be anyone with a kind of stall set up at a market kind of thing. Whereas
it's crazy that something as simple as a colour palette completely changed from I'm sacking this in to this is now me.
I think it's just because I'm such a visual person as well, and I think like kind of colour, like it tells a lot of story and stuff as well. It's just, I don't know, it was weird, pretty wild.
Well, I'm glad you
really
did, Jack.
Yeah,
it's
I still
really,
get people
really
like, there was like last year I was in an event, and they were like, "Didn't you quit?" And I'm like, that was a bit savage. I was like, yeah, I did, but I came back.
Came back stronger.
I fake quit.
Yeah.
Fake quit.
I'm here bigger, better and stronger now.
Yeah.
I always kind of forget sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you kept that very quiet.
Yeah.
Like, we've interviewed you for edition 5, and we're now here for a podcast.
Top secret.
Yeah. Top secret quiet quitter over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy. And then, but now you're obviously incredibly happy with what you do.
Yeah,
now
no, I love it now.
Strength to strength.
I feel like kind of fine-tuning everything kind of mentally made me kind of more motivated, and made me really think, this is what I want to do. How do I do this kind of thing?
Do you think you'd be where you were if you hadn't gone through that?
I don't know. Probably not.
I'm inclined to say you wouldn't be.
I always think that, you know, what's that phrase? It's like, fits for you, won't go by you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
that was such an Aberdonian way to say that.
Fits for you.
If you're from the central belt in Edinburgh, it's what's for you won't go by you. If you're from Aberdeen, it's fits for you won't go by you.
Pure Beamer now.
I loved it.
That was so good. That was brilliantly. That was delivered to a T.
It was.
But you're absolutely right. What's for you won't go by you.
And I think everything kind of informs what you're doing, even the bad kind of thing. I think it's all kind of part of the process. And I think any creative journey, it's not all going to be like ups. It's definitely like a roller coaster that is very much like, this is ace, and the next day I'm like,
very highs and very lows.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? The highs
are troughs kind of thing.
Yeah, and the peaks are peaks, and the troughs are troughs.
Yeah.
But that I find that fascinating. Like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, keep going over it, but like, to just take a 3-month step back from it and come back totally.
And you know, that's fine.
I think
do.
It's fine. Like,
There'll be people listening to this thinking like, I'm not sure I should do this anymore. Like, go and take a few months away from it.
Go do something different for a bit. And then I think having that step back can sometimes spark creativity.
Absolutely.
Either again or in something else. And I think maybe we're not meant to do the same thing all the time. the same thing forever and ever, especially if you're kind of creative. I think sometimes it's good to kind of have a few different things that you kind of do or want to do and kind of go and explore that for a bit and then be like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm going to go and move on to this and then do something different. I think that's what makes it interesting as well.
I fully understand what Ara was talking about in the documentary now. I never understood it until now.
Yeah,
she says, I don't know if I'll do this forever. And I was like, no, Ara, do this forever.
Yeah.
I totally understand it now.
Yeah.
Totally get it. Let's just totally put it into perspective for me that, like...
She'll do something, but she doesn't know if this
if
is
it'll
always
be
going to be
exactly
it.
that. Yeah.
Totally.
There we go.
There you are.
Light bulb.
So for anyone that's listening to it, like, it is okay to just take some time away from it, because you've clearly come back and built bigger, stronger, more out of it. That's wild.
Yay.
Didn't expect that turn.
All about the quiet quitting.
Yeah, that's it.
So you don't have to tell anyone. Like, you just...
Yeah.
Like, I could do that thing. I was like, I'm going to quit. I'm just going to close everything down. And then I, like, told everyone. But then you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can just kind of hide away for a bit and then...
People will be like, where are you?
Yeah. You're like, but it's here all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And what's the... So we talked about kind of what's going on in the future for you. Oh, I lost my train of thought there.
It's that warm outside.
Yeah, it is. And that car alarm went off, which threw me. Kate, you ask a question at the moment. I've totally lost my train of thought now.
I mean, I've got my final question, but...
Do you want to do final questions? Well, more to the point, is there anything you want to discuss while we're here first? Anything you want to share with the world of makers?
I don't really know, to be honest.
You shared a lot, and I think it's been very insightful.
I've loved it. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys. I just like kind of ramble and go on tangent. I don't know if I actually answered any of your questions.
You did.
That's fine.
You didn't ramble
Even
at
if you
all.
didn't,
We
it's
went
fine.
a little bit.
I don't know if I asked questions. Half the time I do a podcast, I'm like, what did I just talk about for an hour and a half?
Yeah, we always go back and listen to them and like, oh, that was a pretty good question, actually.
Yeah.
I get so wildly excited about interesting people that I forget what I've just asked.
Yeah.
But it's not uncommon for me to listen back to a podcast and go, I've just asked that question for the second
I'll probably listen
time.
back and be like, I don't remember saying any of this. Like, who was talking
But
right
you
now?
said you were very nervous at the start, though. Do you still feel nervous or do you feel comfortable?
No, I actually feel pretty chill. Like,
Good. That's what we want.
Good fun.
We've done our job.
We've done our job.
So, to wrap up, Kate.
What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, lordy. I think just kind of, it sounds really cliche, but just kind of trust your gut and like trust the process. Mm-hmm. And maybe don't overthink things to the extent that you will always overthink things.
Yeah, no, it's a
I'm like
strong
a chronic overthinker.
I am too, though.
Yeah, and I think just like, even if things go wrong, you're going to learn from it. I think everything's got a learning value from it, and things that go wrong, you know, you'll learn from it and do something different next time, and then things that go right, kind of celebrate them maybe a bit more.
Mm-hmm. What I'm so good at is that doing one edition and then going straight on to the next, not
Without
actually celebrating or realising what you've just done.
Yeah,
celebrating
you've just
things is
created
really
like
important.
a whole publication.
Yeah, and just, even for a maker, like, you're so used to just getting that done, you don't appreciate, like, your journey.
Totally, yeah.
So, yeah. That's
Celebrating the things is really, really important.
Celebrating the small ones. You don't always have to
Totally.
celebrate the big ones, just, the wee ones.
Yeah, even just like, got through today.
Got through today, yeah, tick. Win.
And I think that's more prominent when you're doing smaller products. You know, I can think people that are doing like really, really involved month-long projects or a number of weeks to, like Tim making a pen, a number of weeks to make a pen, and that's quite easy to celebrate that. I say easy. I feel it's easier to celebrate that because you've spent exponential time, but if you get really proficient to whip one of your accessory bags together like super quick, like you should still celebrate that.
Yeah.
Like, that's still something you've done.
You've done it a lot quicker than you probably have done it before or whatever, or something's improved or whatever. So
It's good advice.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm going to take that advice into my afternoon.
Yay!
Your own advice into your afternoon. Listen to
Good job, me.
other advice, listen to your own advice.
Sometimes we
That
should.
too, yeah.
Sometimes we should.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So where do we find out more about you? People that are listening, how do they find you? What's your main platforms, etc.,
Usually
etc.?
In the
over
book.
on Instagram, in the book, issue 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm over on Instagram at Fernweh UK, so that's FERNWEH UK. I was like, can I spell there? And I've got my website, which is fernwehuk.com.
And we'll pop all that in the show notes, of course.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you very much. It's been
I've
great.
enjoyed it. I'm well glad we made this stop on the way up.
Come to Aberdeen more.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you, there seems to be a load of makers here.
Oh my god, yeah, you should
more.
just like come do a DAS day at DMA.
Yeah, because Megan's in here as well.
Yeah.
And she's like 5 doors down.
I know.
Yep.
If that.
Crazy.
I was like,
I didn't realise.
I recognise that name and that logo on the way to the toilet. And I was like, I know now. And then you'd mentioned it. I was like, I now know where I recognise that from. So yeah, I think we should come up and do maybe a weekend here or a week here. Or
I honestly, I think I've
A
been in
month.
Aberdeen like once.
Oh, there's so much going on. If you've got a few hours, you should go. Like all the new art, the kind of street art festival was on the weekend.
yeah.
So
Oh,
there
cool.
was like there's a lot of new stuff that's just gone up, and then there's all like the years before as well, and it's really cool. There's just like all these old oil buildings all like been painted with like street art, and it's just like it's amazing.
nice. We should do that. We should definitely
well,
do that.
we've got there this afternoon. I don't know how long it is to Elgin, but
Like
Couple
an
hours.
hour
Couple hours.
and a half.
Shouldn't be too
That'll
long.
still be a beautiful drive as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for
Yeah,
having
thank
us.
you.
Thanks for
worries.
relieving us of 2 metric tons of leather.
You are more than welcome.
that you can,
Enabling my addiction to
yeah.
leather and tools.
yeah, publishers, podcasters, and enablers. So, and I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Oh,
I've
thank
really,
you.
really
I'm
enjoyed
really
the time
excited.
here. I've loved seeing what you guys are all about, and yeah, hearing your story.
Keep
I wish you all
going.
the success. It's brilliant.
Thank you.
Wicked. Ace, thanks so much. Honestly, you were brilliant. Like,
Aw.
I know you said that, whatever was it you said, you're an awkward turtle, but you weren't. You were up to